You're now listening to From the Jump.
Today we're going to talk about how to set up a home recording studio for under $400. Make sure you subscribe and leave a comment below saying I subscribed, and we'll try our best to reply to your comment. Welcome to From the Jump, your source for all things hip-hop. I'm Syllable. This is my co-host,
Mr. White.
So when we're starting out setting up a home studio, the very first thing that we need to set up is the microphone.
Absolutely.
Now, we can go super cheap. We can do a USB mic like a Snowball. That used to be pretty expensive. It used to be 100 plus, but now you can get one for like 50 bucks, maybe even 30 if you buy it used off Craigslist or something like that. And USB mics don't need an audio interface. They can plug right directly into the laptop.
Yeah, and if you're recording by yourself, you're doing, any type of solo work, gaming channels, podcasts, all that stuff, you're just doing hip hop, it's a very easy setup to go straight to. And then now you have bigger players like Rode and Shure jumping in with higher quality options, AKG, all of these big brands that are known for their expensive high-end microphones, and they're bringing their tech to the USB game because they see there's a lot of value there. So if you're just like, I don't know how to get started,
right,
you get you one of those USB mics and you're pretty much good to go.
Yeah, it's a great choice if you're balling on a budget.
Yeah, now obviously if you want to go a little bit further, you're going to have to do some more.
So the next step up is you want to get a condenser mic. So we're going to be doing this episode in the context of if you're setting up a recording studio for hip hop, or even if you want to record live music, singer-songwriter type stuff.
Yeah.
A great condenser mic is going to have a well-shaped diaphragm that's going to capture the vibrations of the frequencies in the sound, unlike a dynamic microphone that is more for bands. Like an SM57 is a great mic for bands.
Yeah.
But if it comes down to it, you can buy a great condenser mic for about $100. Personally, I like the MXL V67G because the diaphragm shape and size mirrors the AKG 414, which is $1,000 mic. So you can have little hacks like that if you want to really get a great mic to record on, but not have to break the bank.
And when we're talking about diaphragm shape, I mean, you basically are talking about the direction of the mic. You have omni patterns, you have the forward patterns.
In a speaker, electricity vibrates the diaphragm, which creates the sound waves. Dynamic microphones for bands, on the other hand, use sound waves that vibrate the diaphragm and create electricity. That electricity is then increased with the use of a transformer and sent to the microphone's output, creating the sound. And the shape and the size of the diaphragm influence the frequency response and sensitivity of the microphone.
And for the most part, you just focus on the forward patterns. And, like he said, his option is really great. $100, maybe $150 at the most if you really want to splurge. And that's going to get you going with a really high quality condenser mic. That's going to pick up all of the vocal range, because that's what the condenser mic does. It allows you to get the really good highs and the really good lows. And it's important to understand that.
So if we're going to go for the mid-range option, when you're having a condenser mic, not just a USB mic, we definitely need an audio interface. Now, if you're going for something on the cheap, you can do a $50 M-Box. M-Audio creates great entry-level audio interfaces. You could also go with a Roland quad core, or if you want to upgrade, you could also go
PreSonus. We can go Focusrite. You can go with a Steinberg. And this gear is really good. And the reason why we're recommending these companies is because they're known for their preamps.
Right.
And the preamp is the reason why you're getting the interface, right? It's like the USB mic has a built-in preamp. Okay, that's good. But you're stepping it up now. You're getting the higher-end mic XLR, and now you're getting higher-end preamps.
Yeah, and so we're talking about a range of on the cheap $50, on a higher end, but not super break the bank, PreSonus for like $150.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal, right? It's affordable. But then, of course, we need to have a mic stand, because we got to have something to put the mic on to record. Oh, I got the mic, y'all. I got the preamp.
Can you imagine somebody holding a condenser mic in their hand? Like,
I'm sure
that
it's happened.
That does not work. Don't hold your condenser mic.
Yeah, the shock mount is what mounts the condenser mic to the mic stand, and you need that so that it doesn't pick up the ambient sounds in the background, because condenser mics are extra sensitive to sound.
Yeah, and they pick up vibrations as well. All this stuff that we're recommending is just so that you can get the cleanest sound.
You also need a pop screen, and that minimizes the pa-pa, the sounds that you create when the microphone gets blasted out with the P sounds or the S sounds or the T sounds. Now, with our Rode mics that we have specifically designed for podcasting, it has a built-in pop screen. But listen, if you're really balling on a budget, you can just simply get a coat hanger and some pantyhose and create your own pop screen.
I've definitely recorded like that.
That'd be an under $10 pop screen. But these days with Amazon and everything else, you can get a pop screen for $12.
And one of the cool things about having a pop screen screen is that it helps you with mic control, because usually the way that you're going to place them is in a way where it's going to take you away about 4 to 6 inches away from the mic.
Yeah.
And when people talk about mic control, you don't want to be eating the mic. I don't get like this on the mic, right? We come back a bit. We make sure that our voice can travel to the mic and it doesn't get muddy. And so that pop screen is going to also help with that distance, because you're not going to be right up on the mic. You don't put your pop screen like here. You put it back a little bit, and that's also going to help with those plosives and sibilants that we're talking about. And I mean, it's a simple tool. It's very cheap.
It's super cheap.
None of these
$12
things we're talking about are expensive as far as the peripherals are concerned.
And I think you bring up a good point. You can have the most expensive equipment in the world, but your recording technique will determine your recording quality. 100%. And there are people that can go in the studio and do 100 takes and still not sound as good as Lil Wayne doing one take for one of his raps. So it comes down to having the ability to make a good recording. When I was in audio engineering, that's one of the things that we learned, was that you don't have to do 100 takes if you understand how to do the first take correct.
That's correct. And I think that's so powerful, because what we're doing here in this video and talking about trying to set up an inexpensive studio is also trying to reiterate the fact that you need to practice on being good at what you do, right? It's not just the microphone that makes the artist. I've recorded some really good tracks in home studios, and you would never know that we did that, right? And one of the secrets in the game right now is a lot of artists, major artists, are recording at home studios and they're sending it to major studios to get mixed and mastered. Yeah. That's the game right now. And if you think that people are going to major studios all the time, spending $60 an hour to record one song, that's not happening. Not unless you got an 8-piece band and you're like, okay, cool. But even those bands that are super professional, they practice like a whole album or a whole set list. Yeah. Then they go record. But it's like, don't be wasting your money doing that when you could be practicing recording at home, getting down your material, and then if you want to go to major studio, cool. But by that time, you'll be practiced, you'll be ready, and you'll be making the most of that time.
Yeah, that's definitely great points. And the next item that you need for your home studio is what's called a gobo, aka a reflection filter. It's like a miniature room that you put around the microphone.
Yes. And also, if you're like recording in a room that's smaller, or wherever you're setting up your microphone, that's also important, right? Like, these are things that you have to think about. But if you're like close to a wall, right, and you set your microphone up close to the wall, that sound's going to bounce off the drywall and it's going to come right back into your microphone. So you might be hearing like some weird doubling or some extra noise, and you want to, above all, stress trying to get a clean recording. Like, that's what you're trying to do. So with this reflection chamber, a very cheap item, you can get it at any Guitar Center, you're going to automatically level up your recording
by a giant amount
in your home studio, because you're basically trapping that sound in and not letting any extra noise into your microphone. And you want to reduce that noise as much as possible.
Exactly. And on the low end, $30 for a reflection filter. On a little higher end, you could spend $84, $89 on a reflection filter, and it screws onto your mic stand, so that now that your shock mount is in front of that with the microphone mounted, and then you have this really nice tight little space. Yeah. But I like what you're talking about when you're bringing up the reflection filters and how your sound and your vocals can bounce off other items wherever you're recording and create distortions. Yes. Because there's this age-old debate, should I record in the center of the room or should I record in a closet? And a lot of people that are just getting started out, they love the closet studio. They think that's the answer to everything. They can recreate some professional booth in there, but it's not a good idea if you're starting out, because a lot of times people don't know how to treat a room sonically, so they have these vocal reflections that increase the treble and the tinniness of the voice when it bounces off the walls, depending on what material those walls are made out of.
Yeah, and think about trying to treat a whole closet versus just recording in an open space, because the sound waves dissipate as they travel. Like, they don't travel at full strength, but if you're close to a wall, they're gonna bounce. And that's the reason why you have to put up sound insulation, acoustic foam. And you really don't want to be spending a whole bunch of money trying to treat a room. What you want to do is you want to get running. You want to hit the ground running. You want to record good sounding stuff tomorrow. So no, don't just take your condenser mic in the closet and think it's going to sound good. It's not.
No, because you have to understand the direction your vocals are going in and how that sound quality changes when they bounce off other objects. So what's really dope, as you were mentioning, is the foam. Bass traps, which are like wedge-shaped foam items, what you do is you put them on the wall near where you're recording, where your mic is at, and they trap that sound and they give you that insulated sound, so it sounds dope. And bass traps, you can buy a set of those on Amazon for like $20, $18.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap nowadays.
Yeah, it's not that expensive. You can even make some of your own discarded pillows, whatever you need. But also moving blankets. That's my personal choice. I love to use the corner of a room and put moving blankets up on each side as well as on the ceiling, therefore creating this insulated bubble that the sound really sounds crispy in.
I would absolutely agree, and I think it's much cheaper than getting a whole bunch of acoustic foam and trying to post that on the wall. You're going to spend a lot more money on that. The blanket is going to cover a large area, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to cover as much space as possible in the room that you're treating, close to where you're going to be recording. That sound dampening is so important. What you want your sound to do when it hits something is drop or be absorbed. And so you talk about a moving blanket. It's very sturdy, and it's gonna trap that sound. Bass traps are gonna trap that sound, and this is definitely just gonna be cheaper. Like I say,
and it's awesome. Got that uniform blanketing of the sound, which is also dope. And you can buy one anywhere from $30 to $89. Similar price range for a reflection filter. So you tally up all of that together and we come out to a price somewhere around $355. That's not bad for setting up a home studio.
Absolutely. Don't just jump out there and start buying expensive gear and you get home and you ain't even got an XLR cable for your mic. So like this is a very important thing.
Start with the basics.
And don't be afraid to spend a little bit more money. If you would like one, a Mogami cable, it's really only about $20 or $30 more, but that's actually worth more money because it's going to lower the noise that's coming into your microphone. It's like people spend more money on the wrong things and then they got the studio together and it still sounds bad. Have you ever heard somebody say, instead of spending money on your equipment, invest in yourself? Maybe take a class on proper miking technique, on audio engineering. This stuff is going to teach you how to be better at your craft, and then therefore you could be recording on a $25 mic and make that work.
I think, as Mr. White is pointing out, the fact is that you don't have to spend a shit ton of money to get a decent studio and learn the techniques of recording as well as getting great equipment. So hopefully you found this video helpful for how to set up a home recording studio for under $400. We'll have some links beneath this video to some of the equipment that we mentioned. So please like and subscribe and tune in for another episode of From the Jump.